So welcome to the video that we're going to look back on at the end of the season without a doubt and just laugh at how wrong I was with some of these predictions. So today guys, what I have for you, it is going to be my Championship 2018/19 predictions for how I think the Championship is going to shape up obviously. With the Championship kicking off this week, I thought this would be a good time to go ahead and give you guys my predictions for what I think is going to happen this season. So I am very interested to see what you guys are also saying for this one. At the end of this season, I'll go ahead and react to this video, and I'll also be reacting to some of your comments in the comments down below as to what you are predicting at this point in time of the season. Of course, we've still got just over a week of the transfer window to go as well, so it's a bit of guesswork going on at this point, but we've got a pretty good idea about how each team is going to line up this season, and so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my predictions for how I think the Championship will shape up. So make sure you do leave a like if you do go on to enjoy the video, make sure you subscribe if you are new around here, and just a bit of a disclaimer before we get into this. Of course, I'm not going to be right with all of these predictions, and I'm happy to be proven wrong with any of them, really. You know, last season I think I predicted Wolves to finish about 9th in the Championship and they ended up winning it. So we'll go ahead. Hopefully my predictions this season will be a bit better than last time. So without further ado guys, let's go ahead and hop into this. So what we will do for this video, we'll start out at the bottom of the Championship and then we will work our way upwards. So coming in 24th is going to be Rotherham United. Now I feel a bit bad for putting Rotherham there. I feel like they are the obvious favourites to go down this season, and I think that's where a lot of people will be putting them. You know, looking at some of the signings they've made in this transfer window, they've done some alright business. Billy Jones as a right back I think will bring a decent bit of quality into that back line. I'm also interested to see how Kyle Vassell gets on. He last season was playing for Blackpool in League One, got a bit of pace going forward, so it'll be interesting to see if he can make the transition up to the Championship, as well as that Rodak, getting him back on a season-long loan as a goalkeeper will be decent. I just question whether they've got the quality to stay in the league. Paul Werner done a very good job for them since he's arrived there, but sorry Rotherham, I'm going to put you in 24th. Then coming in at 23rd, and the next team to be relegated is going to be Bolton Wanderers. Now, I do have my reasons for this, and my opinion could change on Bolton come the end of the transfer window. When I'm recording this video, Bolton's squad is still very thin. I think they've only got about 19 or 20 players. In my opinion, if they are going to compete this season, they need at least 7 or 8 more signings in this next week if they are going to have a decent season. The players they have brought in as well, I've been fairly impressed by. You know, Yannick Vilcher on a season loan, I think that'll be a very good deal. Him and Abiobi on either wings will be very good. Oz Tuma playing as number 10 could be very good as well. I just feel like at this point in time, their squad is too thin. The Championship is an absolute slog of a season, and at this point in time, I just don't fancy that squad really. And then coming in as our final team to be relegated, in my opinion, it is going to be Reading, and I do have a couple of reasons for this one. First of all, their form towards the tail end of last season was nothing short of abysmal really. You know, it was relegation form. In their last 17 matches of the Championship last season, they only went ahead and won 2 games, and looking at their squad, I just can't see where the goals are going to come from really. Added to that as well, Liam Moore, probably one of the most underrated defenders in the Championship, has also handed in a transfer request at Reading, and defensively I think they're looking quite shaky as well. The signings they brought in haven't really inspired me, bringing in players like John O'Shea, David Myler and Mark McNulty. I feel like creativity is going to be a problem for this Reading side this season. The way they play football is just very passive, you know, they're not very penetrating when they go up against sides, and for that reason I think they'll struggle to score goals. Defensively, if Liam Moore leaves, I think they'll struggle there as well. So Reading, I'm going to put them in 22nd. I could be proven wrong with that though. Then coming in at 21st and just avoiding relegation, we are going to have Hull City. Now, at Hull City, there are a lot of problems going on there, you know, mainly off the pitch with the troubles they are having with the owners at the moment, and I feel like some of that negativity could be reflected on the pitch this season. Of course, they've lost a lot of players in this transfer window. A lot of them were released from the end of last season, and they lost the span of that team they had. You know, last season they were shipping a lot of goals, and added to that, they've lost the likes of McGregor, Dawson and Abel Hernandez. At the moment, their squad is looking a little bit thin in my opinion. Defensively, I still think they'll be pretty weak. The reason I think they'll stay up over Reading though is I still feel like they've got more creativity in their side and they'll score more goals. You know, having the likes of Grosicki and Jared Bowen will serve them well this season. Next up in 20th position, we are then going to have Wigan Athletic. I'd say that Wigan at this point in time are in a stronger position than they were when they were last in the Championship, obviously being relegated then. Over the last 3 years or so, they've been a bit of a yo-yo club, so I feel like this season for Wigan will just be important to go ahead and stay in the Championship and stabilise themselves. Looking at the span of their team, you know, they've not really brought in too many signings in this window. You know, they brought in the likes of McManaman, who I think could be a decent signing for them, but the span of their team is looking quite strong, having Walton in goal, a top goalkeeper, Dan Burn at the back, players in midfield like Power and Morsey, and then a player like Nick Powell going ahead and pulling the strings for them. I feel like Wigan will be alright this season. I still feel like goals may be a problem for them. Will Grigg so far in the Championship hasn't really set the world alight, but we'll see how that goes this season. But overall, I do think Wigan will survive. Next up, in at 19th, we are then going to have Queen's Park Rangers. Now, it's quite an interesting time at QPR at the moment. Obviously, in the January transfer window, they will be put under a transfer embargo, so they won't be able to sign any players in January. And as well as that, they've got a fine of about 40 million to go ahead and pay to the EFL due to financial fair play. So this season could be an interesting one for QPR. They've only gone ahead and signed one player so far, and last season they didn't really set the world alight in the Championship. I can't really see them improving, but I think that squad is more than good enough to avoid relegation. You know, they've got quality, especially in that midfield, with players like Massimo Luongo, Josh Scowen, and Luke Freeman especially, who I think is a phenomenal footballer. You know, I've admired him for quite a long time, really, since his time at Stevenage. I don't think QPR are going to go down this season. Steve McLaren, of course, taking over this season. Anything's possible under him, we don't know, but overall for QPR, I feel like they'll be in around 19th. Coming in 18th position, we are then going to have Ipswich Town. Now, interestingly enough, they're actually currently the third favourites with the bookmakers to be relegated. Myself, I don't really see that. It's, of course, Paul Hurst's first season in charge of Ipswich Town after leaving from Shrewsbury. Of course, last season for Ipswich was a brilliant year for them. They were comfortably mid-table. You know, they weren't threatened by relegation, but the style of football under Mick McCarthy was just soul-draining at times. It was awful to watch, so I feel like there's going to be a bit more positivity around Ipswich this season with Paul Hurst introducing a new brand of football. This season for Ipswich will be a bit of a transition for them. I can't see it perhaps clicking straight away, but I think they'll improve towards the latter end of that season. But looking over the team they have, they've got one of the best goalkeepers in the Championship in Bilkowski, a very solid defence, and an attacking threats with players like Waghorn, who's still there, Joe Garner, Ward, and Harrison. I don't think they'll go down really with players of that calibre in their squad. I think it'll be a transition season and they'll be in and around 18th. Then in that 17th position, we are going to have Birmingham City. Now, Birmingham are a bit of an odd team to go ahead and predict this season, in my opinion. They've only gone ahead and signed one player so far, that is the left-back Pedersen, after they were put under a transfer embargo, and that's still yet to be sorted out, really. The players they've got in their team, I think they are better than what they showed last season. You know, last season they were just criminally mismanaged by Harry Redknapp and Steve Cottrell. And I do think that Gary Monk is a very good manager. He'll make Birmingham a very organised side this season. The only thing that stands out to me with Birmingham is I still feel like they'll struggle for goals this season. You know, they've not really addressed that. Last season in the Championship, they were the joint lowest scorers with Burton Albion, only going ahead and scoring 38 goals. And when I look over that squad, I don't really see who's going to be providing the goals this season. As well as that, they've also yet to sort out their goalkeeper situation with Kujak and Stockdale still at the club. Birmingham, I feel like it'll be in and around 17th. I could be wrong with that one, but that's where I'm sticking them for this. At 16th, we are then going to have Blackburn Rovers. Under Tony Mowbray, I feel like Blackburn will be quite a hard side to go ahead and beat this season, and I do fancy them to be the best of the promoted sides this season. What do you guys think of that? Let me know down below, but I think that one player who's going to be key for Blackburn's success this season is going to be Bradley Dack, and I've caught quite a bit of Blackburn in pre-season, and from what I've seen, I've been largely impressed by them, really. But like I said, Bradley Dack is going to be crucial for them. They can't afford him to pick up an injury, and over the season in the Championship, I do actually fancy him to go ahead and get into double figures this season. What I quite like about this Blackburn squad is I feel like the goals will be distributed around their attacking players this season. I don't think like one striker like Danny Graham is necessarily going to be crucial for them. I think that he'll chip in with a few, Bennett will chip in with a few, and then someone like Bradley Dack will get into double figures. In all honesty, they were quite unlucky to get relegated last time they were in the Championship. You know, they only went down on goal difference in the end. So that squad that Blackburn have at the moment, I think it'll be in and around mid-table for them. Then coming in for 15th, we are going to have Millwall. Now, last season in the Championship, they were without a doubt the surprise package, and do I see them repeating that? Honestly, I would be quite surprised. I don't think they're going to go down. I don't think they're going to be be threatened by relegation at all, really. From what they showed last season, it's a very capable squad in the Championship. I just feel like they're missing a little bit of cutting edge going forward to really go ahead and challenge for the top 6 this season. I still feel like they lack a little bit of pace going forward. Another striker probably would be quite nice for them, as well as that their goalkeeper situation, I'm not overly convinced by. Jordan Archer and Ben Amos, while they are solid goalkeepers, they are both prone to a bit of a clanger every now and again. With the way that Millwall like to play, I think that they will be a very hard side to go ahead and break down this season, and not a lot of people are going to get a lot of luck going to the Den this season. Then coming in at 14th, we are going to have Norwich City. I'm actually predicting them to finish in the same position that they finished last season. Now, Norwich this season, once again, quite an unknown quantity, really. They, of course, have lost James Maddison in this transfer window. Their top goal scorer last season had a terrific year for them. Overall for Norwich, their business has actually quite impressed me. I'm not going to lie about that. Bringing in Tim Krul, I think, will be a good goalkeeper for them. They've also got some more attacking options now, you know, players like Emi Buendia, Timu Pukki, and Jordan Rhodes. So it's yet to be seen how Norwich will actually function this season. In my opinion, I've not been totally convinced by Daniel Farke so far and his whole philosophy. Last season with Norwich, I feel like going forward, they just look so restrained, really. And without James Maddison, it'll be interesting to see how creative this Norwich side actually is this season. Defensively, I think they'll be quite strong, really. Going forward, though, I still feel like they lack a bit of creativity. Then in at 13th, we are going to have Bristol City. Now, this is one where I could be a little bit off. We're now getting to the stage at this point in time in the table where all the sides from this point upwards, I could realistically see finishing in the playoffs, and I wouldn't really be too surprised at that. So the first side is going to be Bristol City. I've seen quite a few people suggesting that they may struggle for goals this season after they lost Bobby Reid, their top goal scorer, to Cardiff. Honestly, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that the system that Lee Johnson applies these players into this Bristol City side, they're always going to score goals with the type of system they play. You know, they play a very high tempo game, pressing very high up the pitch. They're always going to score goals. I've been quite impressed with some of their business so far in this transfer window. I fancy players like Jeju, Jamie Patterson, and Callum O'Dowda to have quite a big season for Bristol City, actually. The only thing that lets them down is defensively. I'm not convinced by them. They still need to sort out their goalkeeper situation as well. If it wasn't for that, they could finish a lot higher than this season. Then coming in at 12th place and bang in the middle of the Championship, we are going to have Sheffield Wednesday. I think they will show an improvement from last season, of course. Last season was just a total disaster for Sheffield Wednesday. With the amount of injuries they went ahead and picked up, some of the players who are returning now into the side, like Forestieri and Bannon, they're going to feel like new signings for Sheffield Wednesday this season. I still feel like there are 1 or 2 players off finishing in the top 6, but I do think they will be challenging this season. They have a good squad. I just feel like there are a couple of players short. The only thing that's holding Sheffield Wednesday back at the moment is the financial fair play regulations. You know, they've had to sell a couple of players in this transfer window, and they're yet to sign anyone because of the financial restraints on the club at the moment. So they could easily finish higher, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and put them in 12th. Then coming in at 11th place, we are going to have Aston Villa, and this could be a pretty bold prediction. I'm very interested to see where you guys are anticipating Villa to go ahead and finish this season. When I look at the players they've lost, I just feel like they're going to have a bit of a void in their team, really. Looking at the players from last season, they've lost the likes of Sam Johnson, John Terry, Robert Snodgrass, and Lewis Grabban. The spine of that team that year, which really excelled them to go ahead and push on to the playoffs. I think that Steve Bruce is a good manager, but I still feel like he's a little bit tactically naive. In terms of organising a team and making them resilient defensively, Steve Bruce is a pretty good manager. But going forward last season, I felt like Aston Villa were just relying on individual brilliance to score goals, really. It wasn't necessarily a system put in place by Bruce, which meant they were able to score goals. You know, they were relying a lot on set pieces last season from Robert Snodgrass's deliveries, relying on Conor Huraham to pop up with a long-ranging effort, or Jack Grealish to create something. They're not always going to have that luxury this season, and although they still do have some top players in that side, like the likes of Chester, Grealish, and Codger, if he does manage to stay fit, their squad at the moment is a little bit thin in terms of quality. So for Aston Villa, I'm going to go ahead and put them in 11th. They could easily challenge for the playoffs this season, but I feel like they may have a bit of a playoff final hangover this year. So for Villa, I'm going to put them in 11th. Moving on into the top 10. Coming in 10th place, we are going to have Swansea City. In my opinion, Swansea are probably the worst off out of all the relegated clubs coming down from the Premier League. This season for Swansea is going to be a bit of a rebuilding job, in my opinion. They've got a couple of big earners that they still need to move on in this transfer window, and they've got some young players to go ahead and introduce into the side. All the players that Swansea have signed so far are all teenagers, so it shows the direction that the club wants to go in. You know, they want to invest in young players. and looking at a potential forward three of McBurney, Osoro and Montero, that would be pretty decent for the Championship. I think they'd be capable of scoring goals. I think eventually Swansea will get back up to the Premier League, but this season just about stabilising themselves really. Then coming in at 9th place, we are going to have Sheffield United, another team who I do think they will be challenging for the top 6 this season. I feel like they may just fall short, but they will be in and around the top 6 without a doubt. Chris Wilder showed last season that he is a top manager. The way that he was able to organise this side, they were a very hard team to beat last season, and the way they started it as well, they were phenomenal at times. I feel like with the introduction of Dean Henderson, he'll be a top goalkeeper then. They've also brought in John Egan to go ahead and improve that back 5, so they'll be a very hard team to go ahead and break down. The midfield 3 that they could be playing with, Duffy, Coots and Fleck, all provide creativity, but they also have a good work ethic as well. Scoring goals, we'll see what happens with them this season. David McGoldrick, I think, will be a good player for them. I still feel like they are in need of one more striker in this transfer window, but overall I do think that Sheffield United will be in and around the top 6 this season. And now coming in 8th place, we are going to have Leeds United. Leeds this season are a bit of a wild card really under Marcelo Bielsa. No one really knows what to expect from them, so I'm going to go ahead and put them in 8th place. I do think that they will be challenging for the playoffs this season. Of course, recently they've gone ahead and completed the signing of Barry Douglas from Wolves for a fee of around about £3 million. That will be a terrific signing. Last season for Wolves, he was able to get 14 assists as a left wing back, and having Douglas on one side and Ayling on the other, arguably Leeds have the best pair of fullbacks in the Championship, so I think that going forward Leeds are looking quite good at the moment. They are still in need of a striker. At the moment they're being heavily linked with Patrick Bamford. The Vidra deal once again seems to have fallen through for them, so we'll see what happens with Leeds in the rest of this transfer window. Then in at 7th and just missing out on the playoffs, we are going to have Brentford. I think Brentford are a side who consistently finish in the top 10 in the Championship, and once again I think they will be challenging for the playoffs. The way that they play football, with the attacking ethos they have, they can be an absolute nightmare to play against, and realistically if it wasn't for the bad start that they had to last season, they probably would have made the playoffs. So if you look at the form at the tail end of last season, they only lost 1 game in their last 9 fixtures, and some of the football they were playing last season was absolutely dazzling at times. I think that they had the highest chances per game in the Championship. They just need to be a little bit more clinical. Players in there like Ryan Woods, Daniel Bentley, Romain Sawyers and Ollie Watkins. Brentford are an exciting team to watch, and I think that they will be in and about the playoffs this year for sure. Then coming in at 6th place and just making it into the playoffs, we are going to have Preston North End, and I can already see there are going to be comments down below saying, oh, he's just a biased Preston fan. But yeah, that is probably the case. I do think that honestly, any team from 6th to 13th in the Championship could make this 6th spot. It's just a random guess. It's just a lucky dip at this point in time, really. But I'm going to go ahead and throw Preston North End in there. Last season, we finished 7th and only missed out on the playoffs by 2 points. This will be Alex Neil's 2nd season in charge of Preston, and I'd argue that we are in a stronger position now than we were this time last year. Last season in the Championship, we had the 3rd best away record. Only Wolves and Cardiff went ahead and picked up more points away from home than we did. We, of course, play high-pressing football, and I'm not going to lie, we are very aggressive off the ball. I think that last season we picked up the most yellow cards in the whole of the EFL, so we can be a nightmare to play against at times. You know, having players like Ben Pearson, Ryan Ledson and Darnell Fisher in the team, we're definitely a hard tackling team, you know, there's no doubt about that. The key to Preston making the playoffs this season is going to be Shawnee Maguire. If he manages to stay fit, I think that the top 6 could be on the cards. If he gets injured, I think we could finish a couple places lower. Last season, of course, he did pick up an injury, but in his 19 starts for Preston, he managed to go ahead and score 10 goals. So if he can do that over a whole season, we're looking at 20 goals for Maguire. So overall for Preston, I'm going to say 6. Then coming in at 5th place, we are going to have Nottingham Forest. Under Artur Karanka this season, I do think that Nottingham Forest could be a bit of a force, really. I've caught a little bit of Nottingham Forest in pre-season, and one player who's really impressed me is Gil Diaz. He has been phenomenal in pre-season, and with the attacking trio that Forest are looking to line up with this season, playing in behind a proven goal scorer in Lewis Grabban, who scored 20 goals last season, I do think that Nottingham Forest will make the playoffs this season. It will, of course, be a vast improvement from what they've previously done in the Championship. You know, they've been worried about relegation. I don't think that's going to be the case this season. Going forward, I don't think that goals will be a problem. Their interchanging play that I've seen from pre-season has been very impressive, and with Artur Karanka being a notorious good defensive defensive manager for the championship. Defensively, they'll probably be quite strong too. So Forest, I'm going to say, will be coming 5th. Then coming in at 4th place, we are going to have West Brom. Under Darren Moore towards the tail end of last season, they actually went ahead and did quite well, really. They only went ahead and lost 1 of their last 6 in the Premier League since Darren Moore did take the job. So he's clearly been able to galvanise the dressing room at West Brom, and I think they could be set up for a good season this time. Sam Johnson will be an absolutely terrific signing for them. For Aston Villa last season, he was arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the Championship. I think they'll be very hard to break down this season. As well as that, they got the attacking threats of players like Matty Phillips, Oliver Burke and Jay Rodriguez, who could be a good shout for the Golden Boot this season. Attacking wise, West Brom are also looking quite good. The only thing that I question with West Brom is central midfield. I feel lacks a bit of mobility and energy, really. You know, having players in there like Gareth Barrett and Jake Livermore, maybe that's a position they need to address. Then coming in at 3rd place and just missing out on the top 2, we are going to have Middlesbrough, in my opinion. Under Tony Pulis this season, they will be an absolute nightmare to play against, and I can see quite a few comparisons with Middlesbrough this season and Cardiff last season. Set pieces, they're going to score an absolute shed load, I'm sure. Watching Middlesbrough play, I don't think at times will always be the best thing. You know, last season as well, they were quite reliant on Adama Traore, and whether he'll still go or not, it's yet to be seen. But I still feel like creatively, they probably could do with one more player, a central player, to go ahead and break the lines this season and link up with their forward players. But defensively, Middlesbrough will be very hard to break down this season. Having players in there like Aidan Flynn and Daniel Ayala with Darren Randolph playing in goal, I think that Middlesbrough will be a very hard side to go ahead and break down this season. And under Tony Pulis, I expect Middlesbrough will pick up a bit of momentum around Christmas time, and they'll just keep grinding out the results from there. So for Middlesbrough, I'm going to say 3rd. And then coming in at 2nd place for the first automatic promotion place. This may be a surprise to a lot of you guys, but I am actually going to go ahead and throw Derby County in there. I've got a bit of a feeling about Derby this season, I'm not going to lie. Under Frank Lampard in pre-season, I know it's only pre-season, but watching them, they have been fantastic. Transfer business has been absolutely superb from them in this window as well, bringing youthful attacking players like Mason Mount, Harry Wilson and Josephine. As well as that, they've got a proven goal scorer in Jack Marriott coming in last season. In all competitions, he was able to score 33 goals. And one criticism that you could probably throw at Derby last season was under Gary Rowett, they were at times too defensive. I don't think that's going to be the case under Frank Lampard. He's already shown in pre-season he intends to line up with a 4-3-3 and wants to play on the front foot. I am excited to see how this Derby side functions this season. I still think we're yet to see the best out of someone like Tom Lawrence. I think that he could have a very big season under Frank Lampard. And defensively, I think they'll be very strong as well. They've got one of the best goalkeepers in Scott Carson in goal, and then they've got Curtis Davis as their leader at the back. And then to go ahead and win the championship, it is going to be Stoke City. I think there is an obvious reason why they are the front runners at the moment for the favourites for the championship. Looking at a potential starting 11 that they're going to have in the championship this season, their squad is just going to be an absolute joke. Having 2 holding midfielders in Joe Allen and Etebo, playing behind the 3 of players like Tommins, James McLean and Bojan, and then having a striker like Benica Phobe. Stoke are looking very well set up for this championship season. They've still got Jack Butland, who will be a phenomenal goalkeeper in the championship, and then they've got players in their defence like Shawcross and Bruno Martins Indy. So Stoke, I think, are looking very well prepared for this season. They've got a manager in Gary Rowett who knows the championship, and I think will know how to get the best out of these players. And like I said, defensively and going forward, Stoke are looking very strong this season. So Stoke are my favourites for who I think are going to be winning the championship this season. So as you can see on screen now, guys, that is who I'm predicting to go ahead and win the championship, and that is how I'm predicting the league table this season. Do you guys agree with my predictions? Let me know in the comments down below. Obviously, don't be offended if I did put your team to finish a bit lower than you think they will do this season. I'm happy for you to disagree with me, and I'm happy to get some debates going in the comments down below. I'm very interested to see how you guys think the championship will shape up this season. So let me know down below, what are your early predictions? But guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So thank you so much for watching. So make sure you do leave a like if you did go on to enjoy the video, and please do subscribe for some regular championship content. My championship week 1 score predictions will be coming out on Thursday, so I cannot wait for the championship to get back going on Friday night, guys. So apart from that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.